Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, and this is Working Man Reads. I hope everyone is having a fantastic evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. I appreciate you. I actually came down here to fire up a video this morning. I was going to make one. Turn down the light a little bit. It's so blinding. And I found out that during the great flood of my basement, my power pack for the computer, for the PC, went bad. So I had to go to Best Buy today, and thank God my computer is fine. But today we're going to be doing the nostalgia book tag by my boy over there, Noah, who everyone who reads it must converse. Everyone knows Noah. He's a brother, been a brother for I've known him for over a year now. Jeez, Noah, we've been doing this for a while, eh? I don't know why I said a. Canada's rubbing off on me, I think. But shout out to Noah. Go check out his channel. I actually saw Michael K Vaughan do it. I'll tag both of them down below. But yeah, I saw him do it today, and he's like, well, I guess you're going to have to do it, Josh. And I was like, you know what? Good point. I should, because I haven't done a tag in a while. I know I'm behind. There's some tags I haven't done yet, and I apologize for that. But let's go with number one, oldest book from your life that you still own. So I took this as like quite literally the book that I've had in my own possession for the longest, not my oldest piece of work or piece of fiction. Well, it might still be, but we're gonna go with The Lord of the Rings. Now this is the 3-book special. This is actually the way that Tolkien meant for The Lord of the Rings to be read. A lot of people are like, oh, well, it's 3 books. And you're like, no, it's actually meant to be one big bind up. I can't remember when this the pages are already starting to, not going to show up, but they're starting to, yeah, I've had this book since my childhood. Note text copyright. This is literally the revised, Houghton Mifflin Company revised note text from 1994, and I was born in 93, so I literally think that this was my first book I've ever owned. I know I'm young, I'm sorry guys, but I am. It was my first love of fiction. It was the first book, first series that really made me fall in love with reading, watching movies. Honestly, the movies are kind of what sucked me in. I know those came out in the 2000s. So how the hell did this come from? Maybe that was the revised text. Yeah, we're off to a good start here. I would assume this is from like the 2000s, but it doesn't really have the copyright date here, or like there's so many dates on here. Whatever. This is obviously from the movies because it has the characters on the back, So we all know them. I'm not going to tell you who they are, but you know, your boy loves them. So. Yeah, but first loved library book. Now, I couldn't think of one, to be honest with you. I know that I used to go to the school library and kind of read a little bit, but to be honest with you, I wasn't a very avid reader when I was a child. I was more into sports, kind of a jock, a little bit of a bro, chasing girls and throwing footballs. But as I got older is when I started to kind of grow up and read a little bit more, try to use my brain, because honestly, I read an article that the best way to combat, it might not even be scientifically true, but the best way to combat mental, I had a lot of concussions growing up playing sports, and they say the best way to kind of, if you use it, you don't lose it type deal with your brain. You want to use it. So I started reading and I started writing and just using my brain for other things other than sitting there watching TV. A book given to you. Now, this was tough because I have been given so much, but I just picked one by Juan. But over at Plagued by Visions, he gave me The Children of Men. I read the synopsis for this when I received it, but it sounds fantastic. I'm pretty sure it's like a deep gender study, basically, of, I think there's only just men or something and we can't procreate anymore. But yeah, Children of Men. I think there was a movie. People keep telling me on that video that there was a movie, and God, I can't get that away, but yeah, I'm gonna have to hold it up higher. So yeah, I'll have to watch that movie someday. A book recommended to you. Now, I picked a book I'm currently reading right now because it was recommended so many times before I picked it up myself, and that's The Blade Itself. I've said it itself like 3 times now, by Joe Abercrombie. This suave fellow is right in the center here, right in there. But this is freaking awesome. The character work in this is fantastic. I cannot wait to review this. I'm going to keep reading this series because it is, as he would say, bloody fantastic. You like love to hate the characters in this book. I don't know how else to put that, but like they're not good people and they're grimy. They've been through a lot. And you end up being like, you know what though? They're freaking kind of awesome. Like Glotka, I think is his name. He's supposed to probably not be liked by people, but I'm a horror reader, so like I'm not afraid of like bad characters and being like into that. So yeah, I kind of like him as a character. He's just like he tortures people and stuff. So I know that's somebody's going to be watching this video like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But I read a lot of messed up fiction. So like to be honest, it was like nothing he's doing is like crazy to me. At this point, I'm a little desensitized, but it's fine. I'm gonna be all right. So I kind of liked him. I think he's kind of entertaining. He's funny. He hates the world, and he just wants to sit in a chair. So yeah, if you haven't read The Blade Itself, pick it up. A buddy read text. That was really tough. So I just picked a book that we all read. Well, like all of the people in my friend group on here. And that's going to be Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. Fantastically written story about a family in, I think, Ohio. Yeah, because these are the Blue Ridge Mountains, so it's probably like down there. And just a family that goes through a lot of hard times, a lot of problems. I don't want to spoil anything. There's a lot of triggers in here, though. Like rape and racism and things like that. But this was an absolutely fantastic book. Probably one of my favorite books I've read in my lifetime. And yeah, so Betty, we all buddy read that, even though it wasn't really a traditional buddy read where we were all talking about it. But I bloody loved that one too. All right, so a book. Okay, books introduced in school. Now, I would probably say I don't have the copy anymore. It actually got wet. It was one of the books that got destroyed. But Tuesdays with Maury was a book I read in high school, and it was actually the first book given to me by a teacher that I finished. Most of the time I sparks notes to everything and never actually read the books that they gave me. I was a very bad student when it came to that. But this book I actually fell in love with, and I read it by Mitch Albom. And just because I had lost my grandfather at that time, and which, going back to Betty, one of the best characters in that is the matriarch of the family. Matriarch is the female. The patriarch, the father. He reminded me a lot of my grandpa, and so that was cool. So same with Maury from Tuesdays with Maury. He reminded me of my grandfather, and I got actually angry at my teacher when I finished the book, and I came in and I was like, why would you make us read this? This is ridiculous. And she's like, so you actually read it, Josh? And I was like, yeah, and I'm not happy about it. And she's like, so you're going to be able to write the paper on it, right? And I was like, I guess so. So that was senior year. Senior year was the first time I finished a book in school that they told me I had to read. Ditched every other book. I just was not a reader. Genre fiction that inspires nostalgia. So I picked this. I'm actually going to be sending to a friend, but Pete Dexter's Deadwood. I just watched a lot of Westerns growing up with my father, my grandfather, and my uncles and everything. We just loved Westerns, Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, all of those greats. And so I've actually really loved this edition of this book, but I'm gonna go ahead and send it to a friend. And yeah, I just loved it. It was such a different take on Wild Bill Hickok's story that I didn't even know all this. It was just fantastic. It was such a good book. All right. I think I got bit by a bug on my forehead. That's great. Number 8, literary work that inspires nostalgia. Now, Noah knows I pretty much don't read what people would consider literature I would assume. I know that that's a big thing on BookTube, and I'm getting into that. I'm watching their videos. I just really like standard mindless fiction. I'm not gonna lie, I like fantasy, I like sci-fi, and I like horror. I don't really think I read a lot of like very intense literature or anything, but I did read Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. And I think I gave it like 3 stars. I didn't even really review it on the channel because I had no idea what to say about it, because it's just not something I traditionally read. It's a romance, more literary side. It might not even be considered literary. I'd have to like look up what the definition of literary work would be. But yeah, traditional like romance. I freaking thought it was kind of annoying. A lot of banter between the characters, talking about like, I love him. Do you really love him? You should date him. I don't know if I really like him. I could like somebody else. And then they, in Sense and Sensibility did. So, I don't know. Maybe you should read it. Maybe you'll like it. I was like, I don't know. Just not my cup of tea, I should say. That's why I didn't review it, because it's not for me. It's just not. But I read it because I wanted to say I read a Jane Austen book, because she's a fantastic author. I do have to say that. Great writing. Just me personally, I like a little more action than that. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I'm working man reads, Spiritual text that inspires nostalgia. I'm going to go ahead and say my grandmother's Bible. I've talked about this quite a bit. It's been a while since I brought it up, because a lot of people aren't religious around here or spiritual in their own way, but we all have our own feelings, and most people don't even know that I am a Christian because I don't throw it around. But this is my grandmother's Bible. It's a King James red lettered Bible, and she preached out of it, so it means a lot. It means a lot to me. She was I don't remember. I'm not really like a practicing. I don't go to church. I just read the Bible. So cut a little bit off the end because I went off on a tangent that nobody here wants to hear. But I hope everybody has a great week. And until next time, this has been Working Man Reads. Bye.